Hi, welcome to a brand new video tutorial on workplace wellness, also called workspace wellness. So if I have to define workplace or workspace wellness in a word, it's all about how we retain employees and come up with certain healthcare and wellness programs, not just to help the employees but also to retain the talent in an organization. If I can suggest you something by Gallup National Survey Organization, I'm sure by now we all know what Gallup is all about. Gallup is basically a survey company, a national survey company which surveys anything and everything about an organization. And basically what they have come up with is, they've come up with a research work that 32% of employees are only engaged in an organization, and just imagine the rest of the numbers is it's a very big number, an outstanding number, that people are not really engaged and productive at workplace. Let's explore this and understand the topic further, and rely on certain facts and figures as to why it is important to rely on certain important things such as workplace wellness, and how do we actually take care of it as an employer. Moving on to understand the introduction bit and the factors behind chronic diseases. So chronic diseases are your diseases which are non-curable and which are long lasting, and we will technically talk about it. Workplace wellness initiatives, like what employers have come up, not just attracting the talent and retaining the talent, but also genuinely helping the employees in an organization. Moving on, health risk assessments. What is the one that all employers are looking out in the market, and what is highly recommended assessment tool or the organization for all the employers. Moving on to understand workplace wellness programs, as to what programs have been designed. Well, organizations which are on a high cadre, they have come up with very unique plans to take care of the health care overall of employees, and we will certainly throw light on it. Moving on, workplace wellness case study, that is, there's certain case studies that we would like to really recommend you, more like a do-it-yourself activity. Go back, do a little bit of reading as a firm head, or maybe as an employee, or maybe anybody who's really inclined to know more about this topic. Moving on, engaging employees, that is, how do we engage employees and also balance it with their work-life front. To understand further workplace wellness tips, that is certain recommended tips by people who have really surveyed and studied the entire process, that is by wellness consultants and the wellness coaches. Moving on, high self-confidence, how a high self-confidence would take a dent just because my health is impacted in the process of at workplace, and that translates towards my personal life too. Moving on, dealing with illness and job layoff. Like, job layoff is like an experience that we all undergo, and we all should take it just as an experience and move on, rather than taking it or probably stressing ourselves completely over the process and the experience. Moving on, workplace wellness worksheet, or do it to yourself activity where you can actually fill in the information and relate to the topic in a much better manner. Moving on, the introduction, like already I did quote the similar thing, that employers are spending a lot of money, and if I have to really talk about it, there are a lot of survey research figures that have come out in the market, magazines and media have proclaimed that at least in United States of America, a lot of employers have been spending on an average of about $186 million for their own firm. I mean, $106 million is really a big number, and that is very alarming for all of us to understand the fact that yes, they are genuinely placing that money on towards the healthcare system, but also the concern that comes in and arises is, do they actually need this much, or are they genuinely ill for the entire experience that they will be taking up for the in the amount that has been quoted. To talk about it in a way that it has always been told that each time an employee is unwell, there is certainly an attrition that can go a long way, productivity hit, and economy of the organization will take a dent. And when I say economy, it also can be interlinked towards the economy of the organization. Moving on, factors behind chronic diseases. Well, there are a lot of chronic diseases, and like I said, they are incurable, long-lasting diseases such as heartache and obesity. Stress is also one of the parameters, and smoking, as a habit and as a form. So chronic diseases can be taken into consideration, but that needs a lot of money and a lot of effort and time by the organizations and firm. But this can certainly be cut down at an organization level itself. Like each time an employee is asking, stepping out for food, or probably if you are as an employer or providing food option in cafeteria or at your workplace, see to that you give out a healthy diet to them, and a diet which is highly recommended, maybe on customization basis, or if not customization basis, maybe like a basic, greeneries and veggies that has to be included in the diet. So these are the basic recommendations which are being quoted, and this can actually help cure and prevent any chronic disease which is coming on the way to the employees. Moving on to understand smoking. Well, smoking as a habit, and of course it's a personal choice, but certainly it links and takes a dent towards the health ratio of an employee. So there are a lot of programs which have been attached, like to reduce nicotine content, to give up nicotine, to give up cigarette smoking, but those programs have to be well shaped as per the organization need, and yet take care of the employee and be sensitive as well. Like each time I interacted with people who smoke, I mean, they come so an open statement, that's my personal choice. Certainly it's their personal choice, but how would that impact the company or the department's complete performance is something we have to cater and put across very sensitively. Moving on, stress, well, if not managed well and if not balanced well, it can lead to any repercussion, any bad circumstances. People who could not come out well, people who were not able to manage it, they went on to all sort of mental health illnesses, and there's a lot of demand of psychologists in the organization as consultants, because people are unable to balance both. And when I say both, it's your professional life and the personal life as well. So we have to come up with certain plans and certain recommendations to help them balance and help them move on in their life, and just be there for the employees. Moving on, workplace wellness initiatives. Well, picture says it all. Well, there are a lot of initiatives that can come into consideration, like a typical gym workout place, or maybe like a treadmill next to your workstation. Well, I remember visiting Facebook office, and I do not like to mention the location for not specific reason, but yeah, they have workstation next to their desk, and next to the treadmill. So that can actually help you to sort of just spend about 3, 5, 7 minutes at the maximum at the stretch, to reduce and be regular to the routine. So organizations should really look up to people who have been actually made it long and made it big in the industry and history of taking care of the employees in all possible best manner. Moving on, health risk assessments. Well, there are a lot in the market. Orient health risk assessment is something what employers do look out for, and there's one more assessment which is biometric, which takes care of the overall health aspect of an individual. So maybe regular checkups of employees basis on these two organizations that we can get connected, or probably the assessment system that can certainly help us a long way to not just prevent diseases, but also to take care of something which is on a right hand to be taken into account. Moving on, workplace wellness programs. Well, many to talk about it. So there's an American journal which has come up with certain recommendation, and certain employers which vouch for their wellness programs, but however they do shift ongoing basis, maybe to explore the option better, maybe to consider the fact that yes, we are putting time, effort and money, and we're not being repetitive in our wellness programs to the employees. And I guess one suggestion would be employers should be open for the suggestion from the employees as well, because after all, it's for them that we're doing all this effort, and open recommendation or survey has to be considered for it. Moving on, workplace wellness case study. Well, there's a typical case study that we would recommend you to visit our website and go through it. There are firms and organizations which have done surveys and studies, and they've come up with certain things such as a basic a date typically to start with a yoga, and then move on to something which is on overall healthcare regime, maybe like a laughter club to start off with. and these things can certainly add on more like a routine and regime. So each time I'm in a setup of workplace, it reminds me of certain things which I maybe do not do it back home, and this actually boosts my productivity, and it helps me not just for connecting with the employees, it also helps me networking with the other employees too as an individual. Moving on, workplace wellness case study too. Well, again a different case study to talk about it, where there has to be an open survey conversation. If your survey is not taken into account, if your survey is not dealt in accordance to the employees recommendation, there could be little disconnect as to what their expectations are and what are you trying to put in the effort here. Moving on, engaging employees, well, sort of a difficult task, and it's thankless job honestly. So best thing, just hear and say and try and customize everything each time when you hear from them. Moving on, workplace wellness tips. Well, many tips to talk about it. Maybe like work from home option could be one of the suggestive measures to begin with. Employees such as Infosys and followed with other organizations such as IBM, Accenture and all, they have a rigid policy of allowing individuals or employees to work from home in a month, maybe like a 9 days, 10 days. Well, these are just policies given out publicly, has to be implemented rigidly as well. So that's one of the measures. I would like to hear from you once you watch this video. If you would like to recommend anything, and if you would have something in your mind, just do drop in your comments in the comment box below, and I'd like to really initiate a conversation with you. Moving on, high self-confidence. Well, I said it technically takes a dent. So to begin with, problem in concentrating, because your health is impacted and you're not able to give all your concentration, and hence your confidence is impacted. Moving on, can't finish the given task easily. Concentration is not on the table. Concentration is not around. Self-confidence again takes a dent out here. Irritation and losing temper because you're not able to complete task and you're answerable for certain set of people, and no confidence at all. Moving on, uncomfortable while interacting because you're not in your own senses. Again, interlinked with your self-confidence issue. Moving on, panic attacks. Well, this is again a very high-end repercussion, but eventually that's the whole confirmation towards the process. If stress not balanced well, not managed well, this is a stage that we would encounter in our future, in our life. Moving on, feeling valueless and useless, self-confidence again in the question. Low self-esteem, well, your estimation of yourself would be accounted as low because of all the factors, problem not being solved, task not being achieved, answerable to everyone in life, and not being happy because you were unproductive for a day, month or a year with the organization. Moving on, can't care about work because you all surpassed, we all surpassed those stages of panic attacks as well, and this is also translating in our personal life as well. Getting worried frequently, one of the aspects of self-confidence issues. Body pains, which is again accounted towards the fact that this is not going good. Moving on, getting exhausted easily, all sort of physiological, physical and mental ailments is what we will all encounter if wellness programs are not shaped up well with the employers, and also not been implemented and executed by the employers with the organization. Problem in sleeping and waking up, like I said, all sort of mental and physiological concerns is what we'll encounter. Dealing with illness and job layoff, well, honestly, this is just an experience. It has to be only taken as an experience. There are a lot of surveys, there are a lot of studies which have been conducted that people have not come over depression. People have given up their careers and their life for simple reason they've been laid off with a firm that they have been associated emotionally, or maybe they've been associated for quite some time and they're very happy about what they were doing. Culturally, certain countries have this as a policy, and hence we should be a little mindful of the fact or to which firm are we applying for a job role, and doing a little bit of a homework and history check whether they do have a history of laying off employees, and if you still would like to take a chance or risk, then we should be considered for our own responsibility. Moving on, workplace wellness worksheet. Like I said, circle the appropriate score as one of the way to deal with this kind of worksheet. Smoking related actions, I avoid smoking cigarettes, will not be applicable to you directly. Maybe you can place something like, a chocolate, because a lot of people who are addicted towards eating chocolates as well. So that can also eventually cause not so great experiences and addiction towards the, the kind of food. I avoid pipes and cigars, I avoid spit, tobacco, I avoid passive smoking, and this is something more like a do-it-yourself activity. Maybe you can replace the word smoking with something which you've been regularly doing and you want to come over that as a habit. Moving on, conclusion. Well, to talk about it, the Environmental Journal survey clearly talks about one thing, that employers certainly are spending money and they really wish to take these wellness programs to the next level, and almost every organization is coming up with unique sort of program. So thank you for watching, and really appreciate it.